Alright. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to bring you another game from our Cast It. Apparently my favorite place to get replays, as it should be yours. And I'm very excited for this one. We do see it's a TVT, so let's get it underway. So welcome in to the Shakuras Plateau, home of today's matchup. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner as the red Terran, it is Cloak. And spawning in the lower right-hand position as the blue Terran, it's going to be Wren. Now, TVT, probably my favorite matchup, can be very awesome as we get to late game. Also, anybody watching, if I could get an opinion, if you guys like just the nameplate that StarCraft gives us, or if I should bring up Starboard. I know that's better for tournament series, but it could be fun for 1v1 as well. So I just want a couple of opinions on that, if you would please. So we do see nothing too drastic from either player at this point. Looks like Wren going down here on the low ground with his first supply depot, usually indicative that he wants to get up the early natural expansion. But we could see what Wren has in mind. You can also fake an expansion and just build up a whole ton of units back up here without your opponent doing a whole lot to scout if he just assumes that the command center's down there. We do see Cloak instead opting just to build everything inside his base, including the barracks. This positioning will allow him to see units coming up, but also gives him a little bit of room that he can position units around the top of his ramp. Particularly Marines and Hellions, very good shooting down ramps, not as good shooting up them. We do see the gas coming up for Cloak, which is just quite a drastic difference compared to Wren, who instead is going for probably a gasless expand, a 1-rax gasless expand at this point. Just both players getting up those SCVs. Soon we'll see a couple of Marines hit the field. Actually, an earlier orbital command for Cloak. I don't want to read too much into that, as usually if you go for this 1-rax fast expand, you do want to kind of delay your orbital command. You can get them both at the same time, and that way, no matter what, you'll have 2 mules or scans, or you can do 1 and 1, but you'll always have 2 abilities from your command center able to be used at once, and that's always kind of nice. And I mean, the same thing sort of applies to command centers or nexus, or not command centers, excuse me, hatcheries, as you can inject all at the same time, so that way you can just go back through all your hatcheries and inject again at the same time in the next one, with no delay. But we do see Wren going to complete the wall off down here on the low ground with the supply depots. It'll allow a little bit freer movement. Occasionally with this build, you'll see them wall off the top of the ramp and then fly the barracks down to the bottom. But Wren's in kind of an interesting position. He can really follow up with whatever you want. This is a great opening, and it really disguises what you want to do in the late game. The only real problem with it is you don't have a whole lot of units at the beginning of the game. Just the 3 Marines. We do see another bunker going down for Wren, so probably indicative we'll see something like a Marine tank, or even straight bio play at this point, as we still don't see a gas geyser taken. Whereas Cloak, building the bunker down at the natural, usually indicates that he wants to get this expansion pretty soon. We do see the swap over to the tech lab for the factory. And this is kind of an interesting choice. We'll see siege mode actually started, and I imagine we'll see a siege tank as soon as he gets the gas available for that. And there's the command center as well. Actually going to build it over here. Couldn't quite decide where we wanted that command center. A little more aesthetically pleasing over here. And a shorter distance to fly down. You can just drop a mule and then have it fly down to the natural. So kind of an interesting build so far from Cloak. The scan does see this tech lab working, which will be kind of interesting to him. Probably won't be too sure if it's going to be Infernal Pre-Igniter or the Siege mode, although he did also see this barracks. So we'll probably assume that that's going to be Siege mode rather than the Blue Flame for the Hellions. So we could see a lot of Marine tank against Marine tank. Wren did follow up. The traditional follow-up to a 1-rack expand, especially against Zerg or Protoss, is to put down 3 more barracks. So up to 4 barracks. Still no tech labs, no add-ons at all, in fact. And a little bit of a Marine push out from Wren just to get some map control and kill anything that might be at this tower. So free SCV, basically. And Wren, I'm not sure I like this decision to keep pushing. Just going to push up the ramp, maybe get shot by this tank, and that's a lot of unnecessary damage to take, especially at this point in the game. And they're walking into siege line. Oh, a big hit there. Going down, 2 more Marines go down, and he's going to, oof, another big hit. The Marines slightly smoking there, and just like that, Wren's force down to just 4 Marines as they retreat back across the map. Command Center moving down to the natural for Cloak. And getting that reactor, actually not going to live up to his name this game and get the Cloaked Banshees, instead getting the reactors. So very Marine tank medevac is what this indicates. And the SCV conga line headed down to the natural for Cloak. Behind by 11 supply, most of that supply tied up in the tech that he's already got, the barracks and the starport, as well as these bunkers at the front. All cost quite a bit of money at the beginning of the game. Whereas Wren has been making pure Marine, just now getting down the factory, as well as these engineering bays, so now starting to invest in some of that tech. And he also had this expansion quite a bit earlier, so double SCVs also can count for a lot. But pure Marine, not a great composition in TVT. Siege tanks and Hellions both very good against Marines, even Marines good against Marines. But we do see Wren going for very fast 1-1. And the upgrades can be the difference, especially in Marine tank battles. Getting Stim first, another choice I'm not quite sure I like. Stim usually indicates you want to go immediately on the offensive. Whereas if you tend to get Combat Shield first, that'll usually indicate more of a defensive stance. And at this point, I don't think he can move out. He's scouted the tank, so he knows his opponent is always going to have more tanks than him, unless he does double tank production. And we do see he's just going to use this reactor for his factory. So we'll probably just see Marine medevac at this point for Wren, which is kind of an interesting choice, TVT. You usually want those Marauders, especially to deal with siege tanks. And as we see, Cloak's already got the 1. I believe he had... Oh, there they are, inside one of the medevacs. So Cloak going for... This is 2 tanks and 8 Marines. Going to siege up the tanks down here and drop the Marines up on the high ground. It's a very interesting little attack coming up from Cloak. So there, the tanks haven't been spotted. Using the medevac to get vision. I'm not sure I like this. Will it get... Oh, the medevac does go down. The second medevac comes in, dropping off some Marines, taking some damage, needs to continue dropping off the Marines as he moves back. And this attack already kind of foiled. That 1 medevac very key in order to get out of here. But these Marines are going to do a lot of damage in the meantime. SCV is going down on the main line for Wren. And is Wren responding? Only Marines here to try and deal with the tanks sieged up. Takes a big hit, and the medevac doesn't even go down. One of the tanks now down. But this Marine against Marine fight, I'm not sure Wren can hold this. And there the rest of them go down. He is just going to have free reign of the base, at least here initially. Only 2 Marines and 2 medevacs left to respond. And this little push doing a lot of damage. We do see the rest of the army here. Wren not in a great position. A couple of Marines here at the watchtower, a couple more up here at the 3rd base location. He is going to be able to stop that 3rd, at least initially, killing that SCV. But this is where the damage is being done. 3 Marines get in here, but 3 Marines against 4 Marines is usually a mismatch, especially with tank support. So these Marines now moving over, targeting down that barracks. Now trying to retreat, trying to bait out more from Wren. Wren's siege mode not finished yet, so this is just an unsiege tank. And Cloak wisely going to go home before suffering any more damage. Can actually pick up that tank, and the 5 health medevac gets away. And we'll reset here. 17 workers killed to 2 now. So Cloak doing a lot of damage with that attack. Resources lost very uneven as well. And Wren now in a tough spot. And now Cloak should know that he has the advantage, so probably just going to see him sit back, macro up the army that he wants, and then move out and try and kill his opponent. And we'll have to see what Wren does to respond. If we look economically, they're about even still, despite losing all those SCVs, but the army way bigger for Cloak. So Wren now has a couple of interesting decisions to try and make. Typically forced back into this position, we don't usually see 2 barracks and then a command center going down here in a weird place on the low ground. I'm actually not quite sure what the methodology behind this placement is, except maybe to hide it from your opponent for a little bit longer. We do see a lot of energy saved up on these orbital commands and a supply block. There's no shame in dropping supply if you're this supply blocked. But we do see 4 supply depots being made by Wren. And here comes the move out I was talking about for Cloak. Cloak apparently has decided he has enough of an army advantage, taking out a couple of Marines at the watchtower, just kind of icing on the cake. So now Wren, actually even in supply again, macroing up very well. Both players having a little bit of trouble spending their resources. But this is where this gets interesting. Cloak has the air advantage with these 2 Vikings, as well as all the siege tanks. And if we look, one player sieging up, the other one not sieging up, this could be very bad for Cloak. A couple of siege tanks doing massive damage, and good positioning back here by Wren, taking out more, but still now 4 siege tanks left for Cloak, and we do see none left for Wren. So Wren in a tight spot right now, and I was afraid my game froze, but I guess nothing's just happening. Cloak now moving up the ramp, targeting down the supply depot. He'll now have free access over the base. He can't lose those Vikings, though. And now Marines trying to move in. They do pick off a tank. I'm not sure why Cloak just doesn't enjoy his siege mode. There's the siege, but now he's going to probably target fire some of his own Marines with this. The medevacs, I guess that's long range on the high ground vision, and now actually doing a little bit of damage to his own Marines by targeting down these close barracks. More stuff going down for Wren. Wren still has the supply lead. Did I miss a drop? I guess I did. Oh, here it is. I apologize a lot for that. I missed it. So Wren did a counter drop with Marines, and it looks like it was very effective. We do see the workers killed now, 36 to 29. But Cloak has the bigger issue, these tanks and Vikings on the low ground. This tank actually doing a fantastic job, 2 kills already. Going to have to evacuate the natural, though, is Wren. So Cloak, I would say, has the better army right now, but Wren in a decent defensive position up here at the top of his ramp. These Vikings still going to be a pain, as he will have high ground vision. The medevac going down. I believe that's the only air unit out so far for Wren. So Wren really just going to have to sit on top of his ramp. We do see the medevac going to pick up this little group of Marines. Perhaps not. So Cloak with this big push has now secured himself an army advantage, but no economic advantage. It's 2 bases to 2, as Wren forced to evacuate, at least briefly, with this command center. But this is never a fun spot to be in as Terran. Forced back by a Terran opponent into your base, you're sieged up. You can't break it as of yet. We do see this medevac now has picked up some Marines, and now Wren going to drop in the back of his opponent's base. And this one's going to do a lot of damage as well. A couple of SCVs just standing around. There's more than enough for Marines to respond, but Cloak busy macroing down here as Wren tries to break out. 1 tank did go down, now the medevac as well, and forced to evacuate. And now Wren in just a fantastic position, picking off more SCVs. I'm not sure why Cloak is exactly scared of this. He does have more Marines here. He'll be able to clean this up. And now we have kind of a period of reset, this 1 Marine being a little bit annoying. So wait for him to die, and then we'll catch everything up. Will he get the medevac? That's a nice little prize. He should stim and try and get it. No, not quite. Alright, so the 1 Viking, the lone survivor of the attack, he actually has 2 kills. So targeting down medevacs nicely. And this medevac as well surviving. And now Wren at a huge supply advantage. The counter drop doing a lot of damage. We do see 45 SCVs killed to 23. I apologize again for missing that drop. That was a key moment in the game, and doing a lot of damage. We do see the resources lost actually in favor of Wren. So despite being sieged up in his own base, Wren now comes out ahead. He's even with his opponent on bases. I misspoke. It looks like Cloak's going to be on 4 bases to 2. And if we look at the Workers tab, we do see 43 SCVs to 24.